Hey folks, Julian here with a special impromptu special edition of Nerds Without Pants coming at you. Basically what happened is episode 125 was going really long, especially with the extra music that we added in there. So what I did was cut our discussion on NieR Automata, and that's what I have for you here. So what you're going to have is us discussing that after the music intro, and then when you hear me do the outro and play music there, we actually keep going with our discussion after we stopped like the official recording, and that goes on for like another half hour or 40 minutes where we talk more about NieR, a little bit of Zelda and this and that. Also just kind of a fun way to kind of see how we are talking after the show is done and everything. And then after that is just some cutting room floor stuff from before we started the show. So hopefully you enjoy that. And yeah, keep in mind that this is being done from the Skype, the recorded Skype version of the call. So it has been edited, but I couldn't do some of the fine tuning. So you're going to hear some incidental sound and some computer sounds and stuff that I just couldn't fix in the edit. So hope you guys like this kind of rough and tumble special edition, and we'll see you later. Bye.
I have a pen, I have an apple, apple pen. I have a pen, I have pineapple, pineapple pen, apple pen, pineapple pen, pen, pineapple, apple pen. Pen, pineapple, apple pen. Dance time.
We're going long, but I did want to talk about just one thing, because I've got games to talk about for days, guys. I just wanted to talk not too long about NieR Automata, which I have been playing, and I haven't really talked about on the show yet. But Angelo, I have a question, like a serious question for you.
Sure.
I've been making a lot of jokes about NieR on Twitter lately and stuff like that,
It
but
got heated.
I'm not trolling at all when I'm asking you this.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how Hideo Kojima, like, he's known for like these really hard-boiled military sci-fi games, but then he also injects like a bunch of like silly sexist humor and movie references because he just likes that stuff, and it's kind of like his humor, and he like, it's just kind of part of his personality getting thrown in there. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess. I don't know all of the jokes you're talking about because I haven't played a whole lot of the franchise, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, like if you stare at Meryl's boobs, like, you know, she blushes, or like the nudie magazines, or,
Okay.
you know, or like just the references to Godzilla or other movies. Like,
Sure.
he throws a lot of that stuff in there.
He's got his style.
Right.
Yeah.
Little frogs everywhere.
Yeah. So, you know Yoko Taro. I mean, you know his games. You follow Yoko Taro.
Mm-hmm.
Is part of Yoko Taro's like design sensibility, does he purposely make his games needlessly obtuse and complicated as kind of like a playful FU to his fans?
He does do things like that when it suits the narrative he's trying to spin. Now, I don't know what the narrative is in NieR Automata, and to be fair, some of the stuff, a lot of the janky stuff in NieR was just janky. It wasn't in the service of the narrative, but some of it was, right? Like some of it suited a very specific purpose when you reach the end of that game. Some of it was just, hey, this is maybe not a great game. So yes, but it's hard to suss out without finishing the game first. I will tell you, Drakengard, the very first one, that's a bad game.
Right.
That's not even an okay game. That's a straight up bad game.
And so I guess what I'm wondering is, like, Drakengard's a bad game, but then as he's going on, is he like, you know, Drakengard had its fans, so I'm going to throw in some purposefully bad stuff in here as kind of a, like, hey, what's up, guys, to, like, the people who have been with me from the beginning type of thing. Because then the reason I asked, I mean, I'll make no bones about it. I think NieR Automata is a bad game. I personally have nothing good to say about it except for the soundtrack.
Hold on, I just want to make sure I understand what you mean when you say bad game. Do you mean bad game as in it is a game that breaks on occasion and then becomes really bad because when it breaks, it goes south hard? Or do you mean a game that is just bad from beginning to end? I don't enjoy a single second of it.
Bad from beginning to end. Haven't enjoyed a single second of it.
Ooh,
I
okay.
rage quit at 30 hours in, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and I felt like I had wasted my time. I felt like I'd wasted the entire 30 hours. But what I was getting at is that there's a lot of dialogue in the game that seems to be like constantly needling me about my complaints about it. Like, for example, the map is a piece of garbage. It doesn't show things properly at all. It's barely a map. But you talk to an NPC where you complain about the map and they're like, oh yeah, well, it because of the radar data, like we can't really get accurate scans of the area. But it's really designed so that you actually explore on foot. It's more fun that way. Wink. And it's like, so you know this is bad, but you're reminding me that So I didn't get fast travel until 7 hours into my first playthrough, at which point, like, one of the characters starts complaining about having to walk everywhere, and I'm like, they know that this is wrong.
There's I'd have to play the game. I really would. But he does do stuff like that. But it usually pays off. You know what I mean? It might not be paying off for you. Like, if he did that, the map...
Sounds like you need a certain masochistic humor.
When I've seen similar things about, like, the map, for example, the map wouldn't be necessary, though. Like, the map would just be something they're like, wow, that's a real bad map. I'm having a hard time using this. I don't really need it, but it sucks. And then you go to an NPC, and the NPC would make that joke. It wouldn't really be a hard screw you. It would be like, I'm looking for a convenience that I don't need, but it would be nice to have, but it's not there, and now I'm going to get a little bit ribbed for it.
Right.
That's a thing that happens.
Right. And I mean, I was thinking also at the beginning of the game, and I had mentioned this before briefly, like I thought I wasn't able to play this game because, like, I got to the first boss, which I had beaten in the demo, and I died. And I had to start the entire game over, and I was like, what the hell? Why isn't there a checkpoint before the freaking boss of the level? And then they give you the first ending, which is like, oh, hey, like, you failed to do your thing and the machines took over, and then they do the credits really fast. So it's like, okay, that's really cute. I get what you're going for there. And I think there actually is like a little bit of incidental dialogue when you start the game again, like kind of talking about like, the nature of death and rebirth and how it always seems like it's just always happening. It's like, okay, you're trying to say something. But then when I die again and have to start all the way over because you purposely, there are no checkpoints, I'm like... That's just bad design.
My guess is he intended for you to die once, and that and this is going on like how some of the other games in the franchise have played, where you are his style is that you repeat things.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You repeat things when you play a Yoko Taro game. That's how it works. So he intended for you to repeat that, but probably only once. Like, I don't think he meant for you to fail twice.
And I failed 3 times.
Just added a save point that appears at like right before the boss after you've died one time,
Right, and the save point literally appears like right after you beat that boss, and I'm like, guys, like, come on. But okay, so I went on an emotional roller coaster with this game, and not because of the story. It was just like this constant narrative I'm having with myself. So at first, I was hating the combat, and I was saying, like, this is like terrible combat, and people were like, well, why do you say that? Because I was saying, well, it's just button mashing, like I'm just pressing square, square, square. And Matt Jorgensen was like, well, but isn't that kind of all action RPGs? And I was like, I thought about that for a long time, and I was like, yes, it is, but not action RPGs made by Platinum Games. And so maybe part of this is on me, because I'm playing this game thinking, this is from the people who made Bayonetta and Vanquish and Metal Gear Rising, like some of the best action games ever. So, and I had heard that the combat's really great in this game. And then it's like, no, it's just mash square over and over. Like, they have the dodge mechanic from all 3 of those games, but it doesn't work the way that those games do unless you put a very specific augment into your chipset, which does do the time dilation thing. But otherwise, it doesn't do that. So there's really no benefit to it other than, like, avoiding damage. But you can also just avoid that same damage by just moving the stick to the left. So, because the whole point of doing that evade isn't because you can't evade that attack by yourself. It's because you want to slow time down to juggle this enemy forever. and Nier doesn't have that. So I was like, okay, this is boring combat, and you're not gaining any new abilities. Like, your character's the same from beginning to end. You get more powerful, but nothing's changing for you.
So maybe the people that said the combat in that game is excellent are comparing it to other action RPGs and especially other Yoko Taro games, because it definitely, even from watching videos, seems way better than any of the other games. You know what I mean?
And
you're just actually pressing the square. That's the same problem I had with TMNT, like the bad Platinum games. I just didn't want to do that again. And maybe like those people also haven't played that many games like we have in the same vein, where we're looking for something different, like instead of square, maybe square, triangle.
Yeah, like it's all what is the measure you're judging this by? And I mean, I will. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not going to hold that against you. You know, I mean, it's
and I'm fully willing to accept that maybe I was holding it to too high of a bar considering the pedigree, because when you compare it to like a Fable or Dragon Age 2, it's fine. Like, it's the same type of thing, right?
The director's different though. The director is
sure. But I'm specific. Yeah. I'm only talking about the combat. Like I'm saying that, like, in Fable, I press XXX. And then I do like the magic button or I do the ranged button. But as far as like my combo, it's XXX, right? Like, if I'm playing Zelda, it's AAA or whatever button I'm playing. Like there's not, like, that's kind of what you're doing. Dragon Age is definitely just XXX. Like, that's all you can do. But then you have like special moves that you have on your bumpers and stuff. Anyway, so specifically for the combat, like, it just didn't do anything for me. And I will say the reason that I rage quit, I had many times when I wanted to stop playing this game. People were like, well, it gets good, once you've beaten it a couple of times. I'm like, okay. I beat ending 1, and I was like, okay. And then the second playthrough is like the same game, but from a different perspective. I'm like, all right, this is interesting, and whatever. And I beat the second one. I'm like, okay, this is starting to get good now. And I was like turning the corner. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to see it. And then I got to a place where I was just getting randomly one-shotted by enemies multiple times, and it wasn't the same enemy, and it wasn't the same attack. And I posted a video of this on Twitter where it's like,
I saw it.
Like the screen is covered in enemies, and I'm rocking it. I have not taken a hit, and then I'm dead. And people were like, "What did you get killed by?" I was like, "I have no idea." Like,
yeah,
and
I saw that video too.
Yeah, and that was the fourth attempt through this area. And so I had said that I'm done. I'm not done. I'm going to go back. I took some time off to play Wolfenstein because I just needed to like have a power fantasy. So I just like went and killed a whole bunch of Nazis for like 20 hours. But and then the other thing is like the story. I'm not going to spoil anything in the story because, especially for Angelo, like, this is one of his babies that he can't wait to play. And I can complain about it without going into detail. There is a moment about an hour and a half into the game where it's like, ooh, I can see where this is going to go places. This is really cool. And just for the fans, like, the people who played it, all I have to say is the "this cannot continue" scene. You know what it is. I was like, this is amazing. And then nothing comes to that level for like 25 hours. Like, nothing comes even close to that. And then there's like a revelation at some point for the characters. And I'm like, I saw this coming in the first 45 minutes of the game. And I'm stupid, guys. Like, I'm the first to admit that, like, when I'm watching movies or I'm reading books and stuff like that, I am always the last person to get the twist or to get like what's going on. I'm like, oh, and I'm all like, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because like I'm always that person who's like pleasantly surprised in the movies because like I never saw that coming, and everybody's like, really? Like, that was telegraphed like a mile away. I'm like, I never saw it. It's really good. And if I saw it coming and your characters don't, and they're supposed to be super smart androids, like, there's something really wrong there.
Yeah, do you think it? Well, I don't know.
Maybe
how much
they
I
were
want to
programmed
speculate on
not to
this.
know that.
But I was going to say maybe that is exactly what I was going to say, is maybe it's a type of situation where it's obfuscated for them by design.
Well, and then that's another thing, and I've realized, I had another epiphany about this, and this is a personal thing where it's like, I bet people who love this game's story love Blade Runner, and I hated Blade Runner. So maybe it's the same type of thing, you know? Like, I will say I liked Blade Runner 2049 way better than the first one, but at the same time, I'm like, why would you make these things indistinguishable from humans, and why would you give them emotions and all this stuff? Like, especially in the case of, like, you have these, like, battle androids that are being used to combat this machine menace. Why would you program them with all of these emotions and stuff? And then you have, like, a character saying, well, we're not supposed to have emotions. And it's like, but you all clearly do. You're the only one who seems to follow this rule. So at that point, I just can't abide it. I'm just like, this is dumb. So, it might be that thing. It's like, to me, it's like so obvious. It's like, well, if you design machines with this level of emotion, of course they're going to evolve. And if you're not surprised by that, then clearly you didn't watch science fiction for the last 50 years. Because that's what always happens with robots.
A lot of making people as close to human as possible might be just like loneliness. Like, man wants to have something else that's exactly like him. Sure,
but if you're specifically building these things to fight, then why would you make it for them to have fear or, you know, like fall in love with each other and stuff? Because that's going to be a liability on a battlefield. So I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't even programmed. It was like machine learned. You know how that happens sometimes.
Yeah. And, you know, maybe the game gets into that after like ending 5 and I'm only on ending 3. But I just don't know if I can keep going.
And how many endings are there?
I'm not sure. I'm close to getting ending C, and I think they say ending E is the one where that wraps up like the most of it. And I think there's still endings after that, but like ending E is like the hard ending of the game. And then you can probably still
beat it one time for every single time through. Like, it's like 15 to 20 hours.
Well, no. And so that is the smart thing about it. Like, saying that you're playing it over and over is kind of doing it a disservice. Now, when you beat it the first time, there's a message from Square Enix PR, which is kind of funny, where they're like, hey, I know that you saw credits, but that's actually not the end of the game. Like, it's intended to be played again, you know, in case you don't know, which makes sense because when I see credits, I'm done. But then you play it as your other character. And the cool thing is that you're playing it like the same story, but there's parts where their stories diverge. And so you get to see his point of view, and you get some pretty good revelations there. But then when you beat his ending, everything changes. And that's where I was like, okay, this is starting to go places. And that's when the gameplay really started to bite me in the ass again. And I was like, I don't know. And I could go on for a long time about other stuff, other problems I have, but I'll wait until Angelo plays it to really. We might have to do a spoiler cast about this, honestly.
I might have to play it.
Yeah.
So you wanted some insight into Yoko Taro. I opened the soundtrack because one of the CDs came loose in there, and I opened it up to make sure the CD did not fall off and start scratching itself.
Right.
But there are sections in the soundtrack, now it's all written in Japanese, so I can't read it, where everybody put their entries in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody put in their entries. You know, you've got the game designer, you've got the producer. They all have their little entries in here in Japanese. And then there's Yoko Taro. Those are numbers and letters, and I don't know what the heck he did.
It's just gobbledygook.
Exactly.
Right.
But it might mean something, but I don't know.
Right.
That's Yoko Taro.
Okay.
The
last
That's
thing, the last
you're on, sir.
The last thing that I'll say, and I just wanted to compare it. One of my big problems with the game design of Nier is that it's pseudo open world, and in the worst possible way, where it's like very boring, like MMO style quest design, where it's like you go talk to this guy and he's like, hey, I need 3 of this thing, so go all the way out here and then kill 3 of these things, get me the item, then schlep it all the way back to me, and over and over and over. But here's the thing. Lots of games do that, right?
Yeah.
And I've been coming up with this like increasingly refined take on open world game design for myself. And I've come to the conclusion after playing Shadow of War that I don't care what you make me do if the actual core loop is fun enough. Because Shadow of War is the epitome of, here's a big list of things that I have to do in each area, but it's so damn fun that I don't care. And so, like, let me describe 5 minutes in Shadow of War versus 5 minutes in Nier. Okay? 5 minutes in Shadow of War, I run across this field at like super speed, climb up this hill or this cliff in no time because like he has wraith powers and he's like just booking it up the side of this sheer cliff face. I see a camp of 4 orcs like around a fire. I sneak up behind one, kill him, and then use my wraith powers to stealth kill the other 3 before they can even react to what's happened. Then I look down and find like an orc that has information on one of the captains, jump down, kill him for the information, then use my bow to spring open some Karagor cages to have them run amok in this orc camp to thin the herd before jumping in myself and slashing the crap out of like 30 more dudes before an orc captain comes out that I fight, and then I take him and like bring him over to my side before going on to my actual mission objective, right? That's a 5-minute thing. Happens all the time in Shadow of War. 5 minutes in Nier, I'm running, and I'm running, still running, really beautiful music playing. There's some enemies over there, but they actually didn't see me, so I don't have to do anything with them. Still running. There's 3 enemies right there in front of me, so let me kill them. That takes about 5 seconds. Still running. Get to my objective. There you go. And I'm not oversimplifying. Like that's a typical 5-minute loop in Nier. It's just run, and occasionally you get attacked by things, but not really because like they kind of just leave you alone for the most part. And also kind of in the story, you're like, well, I don't really want to go pick a fight with these guys because some of them seem to be okay. So I'm only going to fight them if they fight me. And a lot of times they don't fight me. So yeah, just bored to tears.
You don't have to fight.
But also nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. So, but that's all I'm going to say for now. It's one of those weird things where it's like I hear people keeping praise on this game, and I'm like, I don't see a bit of it. And usually I could like I'm the first person to say like I can look at this from every angle. Like if this isn't for me, I can totally see why it's for you. But like when people that I've very much respect say like this is my game of the year or like this is the best story that I've played in years, I'm like, where? Like there's no story here that's like that's interesting whatsoever to me.
Yeah.
Like.
So I am less surprised to hear you say that than I am to hear the critics praise it the way they are. I fully expected this game to be another game like the other games where I look at it and go, boy, does this have issues, but there's things in here I love. You know what I mean? Right. And that's what it sounds like you are experiencing, a game with like, whoo boy, there's problems here. Yeah. But if the ratio isn't off where it will be for I think a lot of people, the ratio of I don't love this more than I hate it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I have walked back my loathing for it quite a bit in the last week, because the way that I was originally going to start this segment was fuck Nier, fuck the praise that it's getting, and fuck the 88 Metascore. That was originally how I was going to start this off, but I don't feel as strongly about that anymore. But there is a good week there. Damn. That's how I felt. Okay. I guess what I was going to say is I very much appreciate the Nier game. Well, games plural, but I don't know because I haven't played the second one, so I'm fairly sure I will appreciate it. But also totally understand why people don't and won't. And I don't know, like I mentioned this before, I saw a website that reviewed the game and gave it an extremely low score, and then the original Nier, and then 2 months later ran back and reviewed it 2 more times from 2 different people, and both gave it very, very high scores. One gave it a 10. And sure. Like, neither of these seem right to me. I wouldn't give this game a 10, no matter how much I love it. That seems ridiculous. Right. But boy, do I love it.
I'm always very cagey about people who either liberally use their top score or liberally use their lowest score. I'm very careful with both of those spectrums, but it's sort of like Demon's Souls. Like when that game first reviewed, it reviewed poorly, and then people started to get the gist of it, and then all of a sudden it became like the big darling that it was, right?
I think the thing I like about this though is it's it's one of those games where people have a real hard time nailing it down, and people are also screaming about, hey, there's these art games and we're giving them really high scores, and gamers are like, but they really suck. And then critics are like, but they're art games and they're great, so we're giving them a high score anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's there's that whole debate going on. And then there's games like this coming out where I would say this is also kind of the same thing, but people don't know how to handle it, right? Well,
I mean, but that's the thing is that I've only talked to one person who agrees with me. Everybody else is like over the moon for this game, so I'm clearly in the minority.
Interesting.
And I've only heard one person on a podcast say bad things about it, and that's Dan Reichert, which doesn't surprise me at all, because he doesn't like narrative games, he doesn't like Japanese games, so that's no surprise. So yeah, that's why I feel particularly disconnected on this one. But you were going to say something, Patrick?
Wait, moving back, I forgot what was it on? You know, I had to unpause at the right moment, and then I had to pause again, so I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I just wonder if this is some backlash from people who like saw the original game, saw sort of the cult hit it was, and said, okay, I'm going to jump into this one and I'm going to love it, right? And I'm going to really, really just like lower my head and charge into it and appreciate it regardless. And that's what they're doing. Like I'm not saying they're being ignorant to their flaws or they're ignoring the flaws, but they're just sort of, how do I even explain this? Because it's something you can do. You know what I mean, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I do it all the time. Like I said, I'm just not seeing anything here worth recommending. But what were you going to say, Patrick?
Demon Souls go, with regard to the scores that they've gotten, I was actually thinking, as in the future, do the Demon Souls scores need to change now because they're taking down the online element, and that'll happen, but it's single player, but just with like the helping element that's multiplayer, so it takes a little bit out. But like, at what point does the game change so much that like we have to think about the lack of functionality taking away a lot of the game once the servers go down, like are happening presently for Demon Souls? I
mean, we're talking about something that's generations removed from what's live right now. I think. Yeah, I think it needs to change.
I think if anything, well, one, like I when I played Demon Souls, like the servers were down because I was having like internet problems or something like that. So I played it offline and it was fine. Like that game's still great. But I also think that like, you know, it's been like 5 years now, and you can just say like, hey, this is what Demon Souls was when it was like at its pinnacle. And there's YouTube videos and stuff, but you can still go back and enjoy it. I don't think you'd have to like change scores like that long after the fact. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of another discussion. Yeah. But we'll wrap it up here. This episode went long, which is funny because we didn't even have our last segment. Or actually, do we? Like, let's go ahead and cue that music. I'm just kidding. We're done for tonight.
You scared me for a minute there.
My God.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm sure people are going to duke it out with me in the comments and on Twitter on Nier, but I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm just not seeing it. I think that I really do want to talk about it in depth with Angelo when he plays it, and maybe we will do a spoiler cast on it. I'd have to finish the game, though.
But I mean, look at people are still big name critics are still working their way through this game, and it came out a while ago. You know?
Well, right, but because I think for people like me, it's like, oh, I got to get this in before end of the year because people are talking about it like so aggressively for Game of the Year discussions that it's like I better know what this is. And I wanted to finish it before, like I said, before the giant bomb stuff, because I didn't want anything spoiled for me for one, but that just may not happen. So we'll see. I think I know enough at this point, so if people spoil it, I'm fine, and maybe I'll even be like, oh, I need to actually go back and see that now. Because that happens to me sometimes where people will spoil something. I'm like, oh, that makes me even more interested to play it and instead of less. So, you know, we'll see. But that's going to do it for this episode. You can always find us on the Twitter. Patrick.
Boss.
Angelo.
I'm at A Roguish Ham.
And you can find me at Julian_Titus. That's going to do it for this episode. So for myself, Patrick and Angelo, thanks for listening. And keep it pantsless, Internet. Goodbye.
You should know that a man with the power of nature can bring you to the end of your life. And you should know by my smile and the look in my eyes that you are about to be massively forced to give up. Chicken attack. Chicken なタイム Watch your back before it fades to black Say my love come, let's start having a no chicken ass Go chicken go Go chicken go Now gonna fly You on the sky
To look at my Instagram on Boom Lens.
You know,
holy crap! How did that go to 3 hours?
I don't know. I think there were some glitches in there. I think we might have to trim some stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some parts where we, but even so, that's still. And then when I put the music in there,
we could split it into 2 parts.
I'm trying to avoid that.
I don't know.
We really didn't stop that much, though.
I know.
I can't figure out what I'm trying to say, dude, but it's like right now there's such a spirit of looking for art in video games compiled with people who missed the boat on the first one and think they're trying to make up for it, compiled with just the whole like sort of pack like there's like a zeitgeist behind this game. Like I wonder if all that combines to make the game something that it isn't in critics' minds.
Maybe.
Like, that's what I was trying to get at in the show, and I did not explain that well.
But the thing is, like, so many people that I talk to or that I listen to have given it such high praise, and I'm like, wow, I really need to play this game.
But they're all talking to each other, and they're all ramping it up with each other, and they're all talking about this. Oh, hey, this is doing new things with narrative and this and that, and that's kind of really hot right now.
But it's not though, and that's the thing. Like, it's not doing anything new with narrative. There's nothing in this game that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, maybe you haven't seen before, but you've played every game on the planet. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
but like, I think Darkness, it like screws with like the game over and cutscenes and stuff like that.
Honestly, I think a lot of people, and I don't mean this in a pejorative sense because sometimes it comes across that way, and sometimes I do mean it in a pejorative sense. But I think sometimes people give video game critics a little too much credit. You know, like that they can't possibly get swept up in this stuff because they're so jaded and or well versed in this by this point that they just will remove that from the equation. They're freaking human beings, and you know, if one of their pals, and again, in this particular context, I'm not using this in a negative thing, but if they're all reviewer pals are talking about how awesome this game is, they might start thinking it's awesome because they trust their opinions too, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes, especially with more artsy things, it might.
But you and I listen to some of the same people, and when you've got Jeff Gerstmann, Brad Shoemaker, Vinny Caravella, and Alex Navarro all praising this game, I'm like, whoa, they never agree.
I feel like Jeff Gerstmann is a little more reserved in his praise of it, but he's
always reserved in his praise. So for him to even like be on board, I'm like, holy crap, I need to play this. And
What do you think does narrative the same way, like that people are missing? What are they forgetting exists?
Well, I mean, I just think anything that involves like robots or AI, like it's just like been there, done that.
There was even that short film that your boy there made that you love so much with the robot going down the assembly line and all of a sudden becoming self-aware.
Oh, the David Cage one, yeah. And so that's the thing is like, 'cause a lot of people have been saying like, oh, like David Cage is so heavy-handed and like when he does the whole like Detroit thing, it's going to be so like eye-rolly, and it's like this is heavy-handed. Like it's so heavy-handed, and like again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's like there's this thing and it's like this big revelation, and I think it's supposed to be like the big twist. I could be wrong. But it seems like this is the big story twist of the game, and I'm like, I saw this coming from like hour one. Like, how is this a revelation? Like, and if that is the thing that they're hinging like the holy shit moment on, I'm like, all right. There was a moment that happened to me yesterday on Wolfenstein 2 that I was like, my jaw literally dropped, and I was like, holy shit. And then I like stood there for a little bit. I was like, holy shit! Like, I couldn't believe what I had seen. And I was like, how are more people not talking about this game?
So I don't think he's going to pull the same trick twice, but the biggest twist in the original Nier came literally towards the last few endings and even after, like, during the last boss fight.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like, maybe there is a twist on a twist. I don't know. I'm nowhere near playing that game. I'm just saying that, like, we'll see.
I hope you play it soon.
I want to play it soon.
Content-wise, like, I know it's an M-rated game, but I think that you can pretty much get away with playing that around everybody. Because like, I was on Twitter and I was like, okay, what do you love about this game? Because I can't see it. And they're like, oh, I love the combat and I love the story and I love the characters. And like, I hate all three of those things. Like, you know, I love the music.
See, I never thought the combat was going to be Bayonetta level. I thought it was going to be deeper than what we had seen before. And it sounds like it's not too much deeper, honestly.
Yeah.
It just has better dodging mechanics, which I was expecting a little more than that. But I wasn't expecting, you know, I was not I was not thinking, hey, I'm going to play Ninja Gaiden while I get another Nier game.
Right. Well, and then there's weird stuff where it's like, same type of enemy, same level. This one I kill in 3 hits. This one takes forever to go down, and I don't know what the difference is.
That's weird.
And it's like, they have no perceptible, like, this one has higher defense against this weapon or anything like that. It's like, no, this one is just harder to kill for some reason. Or it's like, oh, hey, like, I got through this battle really quickly. Oh, and this guy, like, you know, almost killed me in 2 hits. And it's like, what do hit points even mean at that point when enemies are doing that much damage? It's like, so it doesn't really matter if I have like 1,000 hit points or 2, because it's like it's like the same ratio. Just weird stuff like that. And again, like the weird, like, one-shotting all of a sudden. And like I said, it wasn't the same attack. I can understand if I fell for the same attack, because the first time it happened, it was a slow-ass attack that I should have dodged, and I was like, all right, that's on me. But then the second time that I go through that area, it's a different enemy, different attack, I'm dead. I'm like, okay.
Like, the previous Nier game had things where the game would go in varying, like, degrees of messing with you, trolling you, or straight up abusing you, or like just not even respecting your time. Like, it would do all 3 of those things at various intervals, you know? Sometimes you'd be like, okay, that was funny. I get the joke. Haha, very funny. And you're like, okay, that was kind of mean-spirited, but all right, the joke was at my expense. Very nice.
Yeah.
And then and it would do all of these things. Not always to a payoff either. Like, there were times where you just had to grind stuff out in the original Nier, and I was like, this is not cool. Like, there's no payoff for this. Story, narrative, or, you know, like, directorial messaging. There's nothing paying off here.
Yeah.
It's just bad decision making.
Julian, would you mind if he spoils the story? Like, I kind of want to know what you mean by all of this. Like, what really screws with you?
In the first one?
Yeah.
So there are things where, like, every side quest you get in the first Nier game ends in a way where you're like, oh, that's not how these are supposed to go. You know, that kind of thing. That's very bad. I think I actually made things worse. You know, that kind of, every side quest ends that way. Okay. That's one thing.
I like that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. Maybe try that, because even me telling you that doesn't change. It might rob some of the impact.
I will say that even though I've seen what you said, like, I'm actually more interested in playing the original Nier now than I was before.
I'm telling you it's a bad game.
But like, I have been told it's a bad game, so I'm expecting a bad game, where it's like, I went into Automata hearing that it's got really good combat and stuff, because Platinum worked on it. I'm like, okay, cool. Wait, no, it's not.
All right. That's one good example. What's another one? Grinding freaking eggs. I don't want to hours and hours and hours grinding these freaking eggs that I needed to make a weapon or upgrade a weapon or whatever it was. I mean, absolutely annoying, waste of time, stupid. I was watching baseball games while I did this.
I usually throw a podcast on while I'm doing stuff like that in a video game.
Yeah. So that was the abusive. The other one was the messing with you. Trolling, the fishing minigame. Now, the fishing minigame in the original Nier is straight up not explained well. And by not explained well, I mean they straight up tell you how to fish, and that's not how you fish. Like, what even is this? And you can go online and figure it out in 2 seconds. Like, there's good online videos that will teach you how to fish in Nier, and some of it is a little bit feeling it out for yourself. You'll get it, but you also don't have to do it. Like, it's a total side quest thing anyway.
This is me with fishing mini games and games. Oh, it's a fishing mini game. Let me throw my reel out. Okay, I'm done. I'm never going to do that again.
Yep. Oh, gosh, I didn't even mention that. The fishing mini game in Dark Cloud might even be worse because it is so boring. It's so boring.
Gotta play Final Fantasy 15 for the good one.
The good fish? That's what the good fish are?
It's a fun fishing minigame. There's different fish in different parts of the world, and then you have to find them. So, like, it's kind of a collectible thing.
Yeah.
That's every fishing minigame.
It
is better than most. I will give it that. But it's like, I don't got time for that crap.
Yeah. Once I learned how to fish in the original Nier, I actually had fun doing it. I did. That's the truth. I mean, not crazy fun, but it was one of the more enjoyable fishing minigames I played. The fishing minigame in Dark Cloud has new redeeming qualities, in my opinion.
I like fishing in Final Fantasy 14, especially when you're with friends and you're just chilling and you're fishing. That's fun.
Fishing with friends?
Yeah.
15's cool though because there's like some side quests that you have to do, and like some other time, like there's mythical ponds where like there's some creatures that only come out at certain times, and you need like certain tackle in order to even get it to bite you, and you can only get that from a certain place. So there's like a lot of mixing and matching you got to figure out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, and the other thing that I didn't get to say it on the podcast, but I want to talk to you guys about it. This is the second game that I've played this year where they try to do the death mechanic from Dark Souls, but they don't get what made the death mechanic in Dark Souls special. Because in Dark Souls, it's like, do I go forward into uncharted territory and get more souls, or do I go back to town and bank what I've got and try to level up a little bit, right? Like, it's that risk versus reward type thing. But if you die and lose all your souls, you're fine. Like, you still have the skill to continue, and you can either go get your souls again, or you might fail, and you're going to be out that experience, but you still have the skills needed to continue with your quest. The Mummy Demastered removes all of your weapons, all of your energy tanks, and creates a zombie you that you have to go kill, and he has all of that stuff. So not only do you not have any of that stuff and you're back to your pea shooter, but you have to go back to where you died, which was probably a tough area, which is why you died in the first place, and then kill yourself before you get your gear again. And I ended up in a spot where I died like 4 times, and every time there was another one of me that popped up. And I was like, this is bullshit. And same thing with Nier. When you die, you lose all of your plug-in chips, and you have to go harvest them from your original body.
Ooh.
But the plug-in chips that's everything that affects your stats. That's the only thing that you can alter in yourself. So there's like all these different chips you get, and it changes a lot. It's like health regen, number of hit points, attack power, movement speed, all of that crap. And it's like, so if you die and then you're trying to get back there, you don't have that stuff. Now you can plug in some extra chips to get yourself back there. But if you have your best chips equipped and then you died, you are lesser than you were before, which means it's going to be more difficult for you to get back to that area, to get your body back, to get those chips back. And it's like, no, that is not how this works.
No.
And then, of course, if you die again, then that body's gone. So then you lose those chips completely, which has happened to me a couple times. Music's really good.
Yeah, I mean,
super earwormy. It gets stuck in my head for hours after I turn the game off.
And
I just want to know what happens in the story, though, that really differentiates it. Because you guys are talking 90% bad stuff, and then like everybody's like, but that's what really redeems it. And that part secret.
Patrick, dude, you know I love these games.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. But even you said it was like a bad game.
The original Nier is a bad game, but you should play it. I don't know.
You might watch
the other thing about the soundtracks is they're unique. Like, there's nothing else like them in video games, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what makes them stand out so much.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I will say in its favor, because when I first started my second playthrough, I was about to get really annoyed because I thought I was going to have to do all of the side quests over, because I did a buttload of side quests in that first playthrough, which is why, because like some people told me like, oh, I beat the first playthrough in like 6 hours. And I was like, it took me 15 because I did a lot of the side content. But then when I played the second playthrough, those quests were already complete. And I was like, okay, thank goodness. Because if I had to do all that again, like that would have really chapped my hide. But thankfully that wasn't the case.
The original Nier actually has a midpoint. And when you, obviously you're going to do the thing you're doing where you're getting multiple endings. Like that's his thing for the Nier games.
Right.
Actually, that's been his thing for all his games. But in this particular case, when you do that, it starts you halfway through the game.
Cool.
And you keep everything, as far as I know. Like you keep all your weapons and accessories, so anything you didn't do, you can continue to work on, and everything you did is already more or less accomplished.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually wondering at the point that I'm at now, like I might have actually missed out on some of the side quests. So, but I imagine at some point you just kind of get to go back and maybe mop up some of that stuff if you want.
Not necessarily, but it also might not matter.
True. Well, I mean, but there's that whole, like, they keep track of, like, you know, how many of the Android quests you've done and how many of the machine quests you've done. And it's like, there's a percentage. So I'm sure they want people to 100% it, or, you know, they would make it available. Well, then again, maybe that's the thing, is that if you don't do it, like, by the book, you know, and cover these quests right when you're supposed to, you just miss out forever. I could see him doing something like that based on what I know.
Yep.
So.
You know, that's why I like Breath of the Wild, though. There hasn't been any, like, percentage done that I need to find, really. So it's been wonderful.
It's very much what you make of it. Like, you know, same thing with Mario Odyssey. Like, I think I'm done with Mario Odyssey. I beat the game, and then I got, like, about another 80 moons. I'm like, I think I'm good. I'm not going to get all 999 of them, but I could if I wanted to, but Zelda was like, same thing. I was like, I finished the game. I kind of meandered around a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm good. Where Angelo just kept on going.
This is episode 125, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I like, though. That made me really want to get into it. And I have kind of just like, I spent a couple days. I didn't even really complete any quests. I was just running around in the fields and leaving it on because I really liked the audio. You're right. It's like Scottish Angelo.
There is talk of maybe remaking the first game, so I don't know. Maybe wait a little bit before playing it, but not too long.
Could I just do the second one?
The first Nier game, I mean.
I could just do Automata.
You can start with it. I think I'm guessing because, you know, I have not played the second game. But I'm guessing the stuff from the first game that gets played out in the second game where you look back and go, oh, hey, that's cool. You might get that while you're playing the first game.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's how that ties into this. You know.
Yeah, from what I understand, like they're so tangentially related that, like I haven't felt like I'm missing anything. Like as far as like what's going on, it's more what I'm missing is like why do people like it so much?
Yeah.
Right. We'll see when they even put this thing on sale again. It was $36 for the digital, and I thought that was pretty good, but I thought it would go back down to $30, and now Amazon has it all the way back up to $60. So.
Dude, the fact that it's still $60 shocks the hell out of me, because that came out at the beginning of the year. Like, I think that was like an April release or something like that. So, like, for it to not be like $30 right now, like normal retail, is crazy to me.
Yeah, I thought it would just pretty much stay that way. Like, a lot of Black Friday stuff is like, this is the beginning of its new price.
Yeah. Or it should have been not, you know, because like one of the games I did want to buy was Horizon, and I didn't find it at Best Buy, so I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, I think I missed out. I meant to buy it on the PlayStation Black Friday sale, and I think that's over. Because I think it was like $25, because the normal price right now is $40. Because it came out earlier in the year, and that's how things happen.
Honestly, that was like the most underwhelmed by a AAA title that I've been as when I just got into it. It's like, for the story, I'm not sure why she's helping out these people that have hated her whole life, and then you get into the open world and it's like overwhelming that you just have to complete each sector and get 100%. Like it's like a lot of collecting quests basically for like people that don't even like you in the story.
Yeah, and it could be that way for me. I don't know. I have a feeling that I'm going to like it, but
It's beautiful.
it's also, well, it's an open world game that I'm playing after Breath of the Wild, so all of those are suspect now. But at the same time, I freaking loved Shadow of War, so, and that's like as rote open world as you can get. But I had a lot of fun with the mechanics, and I think I would like the mechanics in Horizon, so maybe that'll do it for me. But at the same time, I might bounce right off of it. I don't know, but I want to try it before the end of the year. I just I might have to pay full price for it.
There's really good bow work, but after, again, Legend of Zelda, that's the other one that has really good bow work in it, so might have already gotten your fill on that.
The story in Horizon Zero Dawn eventually becomes a wild ride, from what I understand as well.
Yeah.
So.
But it's like 40 hours, too, so.
Makes me
that's the other thing, man. Like,
Plus,
all
40 hours
this year.
40 hours for an open world game is not that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand 40 hours is 40 hours. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying.
I'm just saying that every game this year was like minimum 40 hours.
Yeah.
And you played a ton of them, dude. Like, kudos. But
I really started mopping up here in the back half of the year because I had not, like, the first part of the year I wasn't playing much, but I was like, I'm just going to spend some time playing some video games right now, and I've been having a blast, but that'll have to come to an end here soon.
163 hours I put into Breath of the Wild. I'm a madman.
Wow.
163.
Where does it say how many hours?
I think I overdid it.
It's on the system level.
Yes.
I've kept it on accident just because, like, I wanted to listen to it, though, so I'm still wondering, but...
And a few of those hours might be me pausing and walking away for a bit. But, okay, so let's take 20 hours off for that, which I don't think it was that much. It's still ridiculous.
That's awesome. And you got all the shrines?
Yeah, all the shrines. I'm not getting the Koroks. I'm not even trying. I got all the shrines, I believe, though.
Did you look any up, or, like, for the hidden ones, did you figure them all out on your own, or how did you work that?
I don't think I looked a whole lot up. I don't think I looked anything up. Yeah, I think I did miss a handful of shrines. I don't think I got... I need to check. I don't remember.
No. If you check, you're going to lose another 20 hours.
No, I won't go back to that game. I'm done with it.
Not even after DLC 2?
Oh, crap. You're right. That did come out. I don't know. No, I can't. I straight up just can't let myself do that.
You know what I wanted to talk about, though? Like, I'll share with you guys now. Like, this is the first game I figured it might be the only game I ever use amiibos for. So I actually, like, after the first big dungeon, and, like, I saw, like, how hard it was, I started, like, using the amiibos just to see what I would get through the time. And, like, I got some really, really cool equipment that was better than my equipment at the time, but didn't help that much. And most of the rest of it is just, like, I had enough food and stuff like that. And I'm able to stockpile more of the ancient screws and things like that, which you guys said are really important later in the game. So those things might be easier for me, but, like, this game still, like, one-shots you so easy. And most of the game, I think, is about figuring out, like, difficult puzzles, like, one little puzzle at a time, and, like, all those, like, little shrines, and then, like, the bigger puzzles and the big shrine. That it doesn't really matter I'm using amiibos. It's just kind of, it's like a fun extra treat every single day for logging in. It's a nice little mechanic that I've never gotten to try out in another video game. It's making it different to me.
Yeah, every time that I use my amiibo on Breath of the Wild, I just got, like, a bunch of, like, food ingredients. I was like, okay, I've got tons of this already, so I didn't use them very often. But yeah, as far as the one-shotting, like, make as much food that increases your hearts as you can, and just make that. That's what I ended up doing towards the end. I was like, if it didn't add hearts, I didn't make it.
The bird was so hard to beat when I didn't have any of, like, the cold resistance either, so I was, like, running through the dungeon because I didn't want to do the whole thing again or, like, leave it, and I had to, like, go, like, eat stuff while my heart was going down the entire time because I had no resistance. It was crazy. Plus I only had 4 hearts to begin with, and then I was getting one shot by the boss the entire time, so I had to beat the whole thing without getting hit.
Damn. You just constantly make games tougher for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so after that I was like, I'm just gonna use the amiibo now.
Well, I think the cold resistant armor is, like, in the village of the bird people.
I didn't have it.
It's for sale there.
Oh yeah.
It's like for each of the regions, like they make it difficult for you to get there, and then once you get there, you can buy the armor that makes it easy for you to walk around that area. So like when you're going through like the volcanic areas, like you need that heat resistant food because you can't survive otherwise. But then literally once you get to the town, you can buy the gear that takes care of that for you.
Right. I didn't find the gear until too late.
Well, you'll have to go back at some point, I'm sure. So,
Right. Yeah, I didn't get all the shrines or anything. I don't know if I like just kind of finding the shrines and like trying to go through those puzzles like by myself, but I'm not taking it too harsh. Like if I don't get it, then I just move on. Doesn't really matter.
That's how I played it. There were a couple where I was like, I'm not getting this, and it's fine. I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah. I've done like 20 shrines so far. There was like one that like had motion controls with like the big controller that really sucked. I was like, what the hell is this? And I finally flung it up the right way, and I was like, I can't believe I did that. Like, but besides
you can also flip the board upside down to where it's flat, and then just like guide it that way, and then pop it up, which is what I did.
That was really difficult. Like, if you would throw the board in some ways, like I felt that the ball was curving in the air. Like I just could not.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, like it's like, what do I play next? There's all these other games. I'll try to get that in Nier and South Park, hopefully. But that's about as far as I'll go by the year's end, if anything. Because like I said, the Black Friday deals have not gone back down yet. That's surprising.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you find yourself in that like buy two get one situation like you usually do around this time of year, I would really suggest the Evil Within 2 for you, because I know you like Resident Evil 4. And Evil Within 2 is possibly better. I'm not sure if I'm willing to go that far, but it's pretty damn close if it's not better. It's definitely more of a survival game than Resident Evil 4, because like I never felt powerful in the Evil Within 2 ever. Like no matter how much I was upgrading and no matter how many bullets I had, there was always a situation where I was like, crap, I'm back down to nothing. That's a really good balance that is very hard in survival horror games to find.
And I heard that actually is something that happened for the first time in the new Pokemon game. They actually balanced it well, where you might die and stuff in some of the fights.
Did I?
The Ultra Sun and Moon.
I was going to say, did I die in the last time? I don't think I did die on Pokemon Y, but I also didn't play it.
The entire thing.
Well, I didn't. I played it like 10 hours. I should go. We should go though, because I need to get some food and shoot some Nazis.
All right. Cool.
I'll talk to you guys later. This was fun.
You guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
I like orange juice. Thank you. Grape juice? No. Tomato juice? No. Carrot juice? No. Orange, yes, orange juice. Orange juice. Orange juice.
Oh, we'll talk a lot about open world games in Consumption Junction.
And I definitely need to compare it to Shadow of War, which everybody says is a inferior game to Nier, except for me. And it all comes down to gameplay loop. I'll talk about it. I've been thinking about it a lot in the last few weeks.
I had played a lot of Legend of Zelda. Should I talk about Breath of the Wild a lot? But you've already had a spoiler cast. Like, how minimal should I keep? But you want to get my opinion on it too, so just a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't spoil anything, but you can definitely talk about your feelings on the game. I wouldn't, that game is still new enough, and people are just buying Switches for the Christmas and stuff. I wouldn't want to reveal like some of the big stuff in it. So if you discovered something surprising, like super surprising, I would keep it vague.
I've only gotten like through 2 of the major dungeons out of the 4.
Well, but I mean, that doesn't tell me anything, because like that game is so like what you make of it. Like you could have seen stuff that I've never even encountered in that game, even though I've beaten it, like Angelo has told me stuff is like, I never even knew that was in there, and there's stuff that I saw where I was like, that's really cool, but then never actually followed up on it, so I never actually encountered it. I just saw it off in the distance. I was like, I should check that out sometime, and then I completely forgot about it.
Right. I want to hear about all those things now. Should I listen to the podcast, or do you just want to tell me, Angelo?
I'd say when you finish the game, Yeah, when you finish the game,
listen to him.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
No, dude, that is the game. The game is you wandering around this world and finding awesome stuff. Telling you about awesome stuff when you're still playing the game.
And Angela tells a story about this one thing, and it's really long, but it's like fascinating. Like I was like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
So I did the Zoro one first, though. I think that was like, I hope it's the hardest of the 4 dungeons, because that had a lot of moving parts to it with the elephant's neck.
That's the first one, isn't it? Well, I think that's the first one I did. The elephant? Yeah, that was the first one I did.
There's also one, you could do the one in the sky. I think I did that second.
I think my hardest one was the last one that I did. That was definitely the hardest boss that I fought, because I literally didn't know, like, what the trick was. I never figured out the trick to beating it. I just kind of brute forced it, and I felt like really dumb. I was like, this isn't fun, and I also like don't know what I'm doing. But eventually he died, and I was like, okay, whatever. I never want to do that again.
I was getting one shot a lot because I only had 3 hearts or 4 hearts maybe, because I forgot to go back and like use all the shrine orbs and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I finally figured that out.
I was still getting one-shotted like by the end of the game because I don't know. Angela says I was playing it wrong, but
what? No, I did not say that.
You were saying that that you need to upgrade your armor, but I did upgrade my armor and it wasn't helping.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was.
Yeah, the armor upgrade hasn't helped me that much. But one question I did have was like, I'm in Gerudo Desert and I'm trying to get in there. I've been trying to. I tried to fly. I don't think I can do that though. I have to find somebody.
Yeah, there's a quest.
Yeah. And upgrading my armor did help a lot. I thought I felt a difference, like a significant difference.
Yeah, I did. I always had my highest armor value armor on, and I would constantly upgrade it, and I was still getting obliterated by enemies later on in the game.
Was it the soldier like the armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I just found one of the dragons in the sky. Like that was an awe-inspiring moment when you see it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're so cool in that game.
There's dragons in Zelda. It's amazing.
Especially when like the first one that I saw, I like put my camera over it and like I took a picture and I got the description. I was like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to fight it because it seems like it's a benevolent being, but it just looks so cool and I want to go stab it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you actually killed those. I think you just. Well, I don't want to say anything.
I figured out what to do.
I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
Patrick,
you know what to do with them?
I know lots of things, Patrick. I know lots of things.
Yeah, I don't really know what it goes for, but I shot it, and I got like some stuff to come off of it.
Cool. I will say, if you find anything cool in that game, don't sell it because it might have a use.
Yeah, I made that mistake.
I sold monster parts. That's about it.
I wouldn't maybe do that unless you have a crap ton of them.
Yeah, I did.
Because everything has uses.
Hold on to all of your machine parts. I made that mistake. I was like, this is worth the most money. Let me sell it. And then I got to a point where I could use that stuff, and I was like, aw, damn it.
Yeah.
All your what?
Come by.
And any of the machine parts that you find, the gears and all that stuff, like, it made the last part of the game significantly more difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't usually sell stuff like that, so.
I love what that game does with Hyrule Field too, because it's. How have you gone to Hyrule Field yet?
Yeah, it like one shots you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like you play every other Zelda game, and it's like, oh, the first thing we're to do is traipse around Hyrule Field, and you go over there, and you're like, hey, it's a cool spider thing. Oh God, I'm dead. Like just immediately.
Yeah, Jesus, I can't run across this.
No, and they are freaking hunter murderer machines.
That becomes less fun and less interesting the further you get into the game.
Well, okay, but here's the other part is like my kids were there watching me play the game and they were rolling on the floor laughing of me like trying to run away and hide from these things. And like I was in a building and I tried to sneak out, like take a couple pot shots at it and then just flip out when they found me. Like it was a lot of fun.
That's how I play first person shooter multiplayer. I'm like, let me peek. Oh, I'm dead.
Yep.
All right, are we ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to save some of this gold for the show.
Right. All right. 5.
Try to get over to Audacity here.
Oh.
And let me just make sure that it is recording this. It's using the stupid freaking wrong microphone. Give me a second. I thought I did this already, but I didn't, and I will fix this. There we go. And we test it again, and that certainly looks correct. All right, we are good.
All right.
3.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Record. Everybody see nice little waveforms?
I do.
Looking good.
I see them.
Excellent.
They're wavy and formy.
All right, let's get this party started. This week on NWP, we've got the shopping fever, y'all.